Immortal Empires has just launched, and now you, the player, have the daunting choice of deciding which of the 80 plus legendary lords you want to play for your next campaign. Or maybe this isn't your first time around, it's your 5th or 10th, who knows? In this series, I want to help guide you through deciding which lord to choose by giving you a no-spoiler breakdown of each campaign, divided by their faction or race. I'll go through each legendary lord, giving you a brief summary of their abilities and what their campaign plays like to help you decide which is the right one for you. Now, I've organized these from the ones I enjoy the least to the ones I enjoy the most, and this is by no means a concrete fact. You might love one of them more than I do. I'm just grading them more off of my preference, so don't feel like choosing the first lord or lady on this list is going to be a letdown or anything of the sort. In this video today, we'll be covering the Bretonnians. You can quickly navigate to any character that interests you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. And as always, guys, if you end up enjoying the content, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Help me defeat the greatest boss of all time, the YouTube algorithm. Well, let's get started here on the Bretonnian campaigns. Starting us off is the Fey Enchantress. Now, one thing to be kind of transparent about, this is still the Immortal Empires beta, and you're going to be confused playing the Bretonnian campaigns because I feel like a lot of them have confusing verbiage on, say, the resource buildings or certain skills that give bonuses to construction time reduction, stuff like that, across all the legendary lords. So I'm not going to focus on them individually. I just want to talk about them up front. So just kind of keep that in mind, that I do think Bretonnia will probably be getting some sort of pass with a patch that might improve or outdate a lot of what I talk about. Just a little bit of transparency before we go into this. And the Fey Enchantress herself is a pretty interesting character. So in her lady's name, her faction effect here gives her a peasant economy plus 5 peasants available to the faction and casualty replenishment rate plus 15%. The latter portion of that being very nice. Getting that nice casualty replenishment is quite huge. Her climates, though, are limited to temperate, savanna, and desert. So keep that in mind too with your expansions of the Fey Enchantress. And her skill set, the Supreme Aura of the Lady, gives her the Blessing of the Lady. So she has that just kind of right out the gate. Attribute causes fear and chivalry plus 4 per turn. Here is your Blessing of the Lady, which is going to give you 20% physical resistance as long as your leadership is not broken. Mist of the Lady is going to reduce melee attack and do damage to things that are 35 meters of radius around her, and she gets a special ability called Favor of the Fey, increasing for 44 seconds the melee attack of a unit by 40, I almost said 44, by 40, which is quite significant. It's really, really nice. And looking at her quest items, she gets the Chalice of Potions, which is going to help out and give her a bombardment, a hero recruitment rank plus 5 for damsels. That's going to come back later. And then Winds of Magic minus 15% for Lord Life spells on the Morgiana's Mirror with spell resistance 30%. And that's the big thing with Fey Enchantress. She is a Lore of Life caster. That is her focus with her casting abilities here with the Lore of Life and the Lore Master Lore of Life. So cooldown minus 25% for Lore of Life spells, as well as Winds of Magic reduction for Regrowth, a great spell, Shield of Thorns, and Dwellers Below. So she has a lot of really great ways to stack the Winds of Magic cost reduction here for all of her spells, and then using this to really kind of further that with the cooldown reduction. That's just very, very nice. In addition to, she has her special line, which is going to help construction cost reduction. So again, this is one of those ones I was talking about where it just says cost reduction. Usually this tells you in the local province of or region of that character. So this might be faction wide. We don't know. Then you've got Sacred Duty, which gives recruitment rank, melee attack, and melee defense bonuses, all for Grail Knights and Grail Guardians, which are your best units in the army. Lady of the Land here is going to give you control, growth, and corruption reduction here. And then Secrets of the Otherworld is going to help out with Winds of Magic and ward save 10% for prophetesses and embedded damsels and heroes. So all these things kind of come together very nicely because you do have stuff like Power Familiar, which is going to help out with Power Reserve, Blessed Water, which helps out with charge bonus on Battle Pilgrims and Grail Relics, which is not really a crazy great thing in my opinion. Secrets of the Grail again helps out with spell resistance on the aforementioned units, which is again not too awesome. Virtue of Empathy, Lionhearted, and Basic Training are all things that you're going to have no matter what. Then Girdle of Gold, though, will give her a ward save of 15%. Now, what you can do, in addition to, of course, the Chalice of Potions, is couple this with Gifted Beginnings, which helps damsels get a recruitment rank of another +5. So you get rank 10 damsels, plus her building gets her rank 12 damsels, which is very, very nice. Of course, too, you've got your vows. Every other character has the questing, knightly, and grail vows. She just gets troths instead, which are pretty much the same thing. Same benefits across the board. Same things that we've seen for Bretonnia for ages here, for the most part. Now, about her campaign. It's a little funky because you're basically doing the exact same thing as Louen Leoncoeur, just from the southern portion of Bretonnia. You do have this, though. You can start that heraldry of Artois and confederate with them immediately, but for the most part, this campaign plays just like Lowen's does. But I find that the Fey Enchantress, while a cool character on her own right, is not as interesting campaign-wise as Louen, and you don't get as many benefits to, say, Grail Knights and other, well, you do get benefits to Grail Knights, but to all the other Knights, Questing and Knights of the Realm, the things that you're going to be using the most in your campaign till you actually tech up to Grail Knights, that I find her to be just a little lackluster, especially, too, because Louen has the ability to fight against more interesting, newer things than the Fey Enchantress does. I still think she's a very strong character, and it's a strong Bretonnian unification campaign. So if you want a caster character that unifies Bretonnia, the Fey Enchantress will definitely be the character for you. Speaking of Louen Leoncoeur, we'll move into the King of Bretonnia himself, the Chosen Son, and we shall look at his Royal Blood faction effect with help out with a campaign movement range of 10% and leadership aura increase of 50% for lords and when attacking. Now, moving into his actual skills, we get some pretty crazy ones right now here. Oh god, lord, he's got so many. The Puissant Virtue, as it were. Chivalry +4 per turn. He starts with all the vows, which are these right here, and which also gives him leadership, +12 when fighting against warriors of chaos, demons of chaos, undead, and greenskins, which is everything you are around. It's a great ability because it also gives you +8 to melee attack here, and he has the Blessing of the Lady unlocked right out the gate. That's at 20% physical resistance here. He starts with the Lion's Shield, which gives him missile resistance and spell resistance of 40%, which is just juicy. But look at all this. Look at all of these vow benefits just tripping off immediately. So having any one of the knights, which are your bigger, heavy-hitting characters in your army, are great. Also, this enables magic attacks for him and gives him perfect vigor. He is just going to be a force to reckon with in the initial portions of your campaign. First quest items, Armor of Brilliance is going to help out with that, armor and ward save. And this is also going to help out with the allegiance points gained, as well as control, when you get both items. And the Sword of Corone here does the same thing it's always done with a melee defense and armor reduction, but income from post-battle, recruitment cost reductions, upkeep reductions, flaming attacks on top of those magic attacks you're going to have. So Louen, in my opinion, just from looking at this, is the better character than Fey. But he is a melee character, and like I've said, if you don't want to play a melee character, it's just you want to play the Fey Enchantress instead. So you get Fount of Honor, which is going to help with recruitment rank for knights and Knights of the Realm and questing knights, as well as an upkeep reduction for them too, which is very nice. Respected by all, just a flat 10 across all diplomatic factions. Clarion Calls, again, here's that kind of weird wording here, but the construction cost reduction, construction time reduction for barracks, as well as local recruitment capacity +1. Exemplary Conduct helps out with those paladin recruitment ranks. Ladies Champion is going to give you passive here to give you some regeneration. The Beloved Son of Bretonnia is a map-wide buff for weapon damage, charge bonus, melee attack, immune to psychology. It's lovely. Then the Lion Shield is going to help reduce all that. Your typical top line here with the addition of the Army of the King, which helps out with casualty replenishment for your knight units, and Crown of Bretonnia. Just so many great things. Irresistible Spirit with casualty replenishment rate 30% for this Lord. That's just lovely. Then the rest of these are pretty... actually, I think Royal Insignia is unique to him for recruitment duration. Through the Realm, Bailiff, all that kind of fun action. And another thing that is kind of a bit of an issue with Bretonnia is that so much of your character's skill points will be invested on their red line, meaning that you're going to be wanting to buff up your peasant units here, buff up the archery of your peasant units. I feel like this should be kind of combined together or something. Then this is going to help out with your foot squires. So it's like you kind of need almost all of these to be successful in a Bretonnian campaign, unless you just somehow hard tech all the way into just going with nothing but Grail Knights. So kind of keep that in mind when you're trying to do your skill dispersion. That is not the word I'm going to use for. Just keep in mind when you're allocating skills with Louen, especially because you have so many benefits to so many different types of units. You want to allocate them properly because you do have a lot of other specific specific skills that are very, very, very good. But by and large, the campaign for Louen Leoncoeur plays almost exactly the same as it does for Warhammer 2. The difference here is that you are now pretty much just going to expand over here into Marienburg, take out some orcs, work on your technologies that are going to allow you you pretty much just press this button, and after 35 turns, you'll be able to unite all of Bretonnia by just simply getting each one of these and just enabling confederations. So by doing those, you pretty much play a passive campaign towards Bretonnia, and you play a more active campaign towards the Chaos Wastes. I'm sorry, Norska, the Chaos Wastes, Bellicour, who will be right here now, and you have to deal with Festus right over in this region. So it's a little bit more active of a campaign than I think Carcassonne. Carcassonne pretty much just kind of deals with the same thing it's always dealt with. It's rather than Kazrak, you're dealing with it's Morgur, I think, down there, and you have, of course, just to your north, you have got Big Daddy Grand de Ponche. So Louen, you just pretty much play a defensive bastion against the growing tide of chaos in the north as you unify as the true king of Bretonnia. So if you want to play a melee character that is unifying all of Bretonnia, then trust me, Louen is definitely going to be the one for you because he gets quite strong. Quite strong as he gets access to, what the hell? Quite strong as he gets access here to Beakis, or Beakis, his hippogriff. But let's move on here to Alberic, who's just gotten a brand new starting location. With only 4 legendary lords to choose from, it's pretty easy to be in the top 2. The only criteria you had to have was just not starting in Bretonnia for Bretonnians. And with Alberic, we have a very interesting campaign. He does suffer from, again, a lot of the stuff that Bretonnians suffer from because they're such an older faction, but he gets Strength of the Sea here, which is going to help out with recruitment rank for Bretonnian Knight units. Now that applies to the Errant Knight all the way up to the Grail Knight. Whenever you see that verbiage, that's what that means. Also, it's a recruitment duration reduction for them too, which is very nice. Income from ports plus 50% and immune to high seas, reef, and storm attrition. So you really are ranging out as this Bretonnian colony in Lustria, and you have a lot of really cool ways to do so. Moving into his actual trait, Virtue of Discipline, Chivalry plus 4, melee defense increase for peasants, men-at-arms, and spearmen-at-arms, which is actually quite nice, and then melee defense plus 10 for Knights of the Realm. Now, most Bretonnian players will tell you Knights of the Realm are not the most amazing unit in your army, but getting access to them and making them beefy is a nice thing that Alberic can do. He also gets Spirit of the Tempest here, an increase to speed and charge bonus in 35-meter radius around him, which is pretty cool. And he is a little bit of a monster hunter with that bonus versus large of 30 with the trident that he gets as a part of his quest items. The Trident of Manon, which will also, with his Gifts of Manon, gives him melee attack plus 8 when fighting at sea and control plus 1. The Wrath of Manon is a pretty nifty little ability here, a nice little wind ability that will also do Discouraged, and plus 8 when attacking at sea, or plus 12 when attacking at sea. Gonna put those together. That's a plus 20 bonus to melee attack when fighting at sea. 10% weapon strength, 6 melee attack. Passive ability for the Braid of Bordeleaux gives him plus 8 to bonus versus large and plus 4 leadership to everyone in a 35-meter radius around him, which is very nice considering what he's going to be surrounded by. Lots of lizards, lots of demons, Rakarth, and then other greenskins. So he has a lot of things that he's going to need that bonus versus large with, and it does work out very well. Vows, he already gets Knight's Vow and is just right into Questing Vow. Again, just make sure you choose one of these before you do this. Win a siege battle in a desert or jungle, boom, there you go, it's done. Or win a battle at sea, or defeat a legendary lord of ogres, beastmen, greenskins, or dark elves. Just do that one, just trust me. And now for skills, he has some interesting little mixes. For one, he gets Yield of the Sea here. The other 3 legendary lords all get bonuses towards farm production. Yield of the Sea helps him with trade tariffs and income from ports, totaling 60% bonus from his passive faction effect and this ability. Servants of Manon here is going to help out with paladin production, a whopping 5 rank recruitment for them. But I think it's Lordly Conqueror rather than the Royal Seal there. For his actual unique line, it's pretty interesting. Lead from the front can help out with hit points, character aura, and then passive ability Hold the Line, which he can reduce using Lionhearted. Cooldown reduction minus 50%. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Rally and Stand Your Ground. I'm sorry, I thought it was Hold Your Line. Well, error. Now, Coastal Expansion, reduction in the cost for ports and their time, which is quite nice. Shipping lanes, construction costs minus 25% for resource producing buildings, and a time reduction as well as tradable resources produced plus 10%. You will be surrounded by trade resources, so this is quite nice. Appoint Reeves. Now, this is really cool. So this changes the Peasant's Duty commandment, which on its own, I think just gives I think it's like 30 or 20 growth. Well, this now gives it 10 more growth. It now gives 5 control, and it gives additional 3% income. It's a very good commandment that you're just going to have on by default. Then lastly, Blessing of the Lady here, that he just gets access to by rank 12. I couldn't think of the word there. Then he also gets his Hippogriff as well. So he does have a lot of ways that he can contend, and what is really nice is this very top line between these two abilities. Aspiring Knights makes his Foot Squires very good. Leadership 5, 8 melee attack, 12% foot, weapon strength. Couple that with this, so they're going to be getting 6 more melee attack and 12 armor. So you want to put those two together because you do start with 2 Foot Squires. Then Champions of Bordeleaux now gives bonus versus large plus 15 for Knights of the Realm unit and plus 5 leadership. So you stack that with the plus 10 melee defense of your Knights of the Realm, you actually get quite good Knights of the Realm where you otherwise would not. Look at that. That's 28 up to 30. It's from 28 to 38 melee defense for your Knights of the Realm. It makes them a lot better in combat, whereas they always suffered after a certain point because they just had such low melee defense, they would just kind of get ripped apart. Good cheap anti-large, as it were. So when it comes to the actual campaign, though, for technologies, you just kind of have the same mix across the board here. A little bit of a difference here and there, but for the most part, it's the same. But when it comes to his campaign, it's very interesting. You start in a location where you can just immediately take out the Piranha Swamps and then expand southward into Lustria if you so wish. You do have the sea lanes you can take into effect here by jumping onto them. I think it's just right over here somewhere. But honestly, it's a pretty fun campaign because it's very different. You're not uniting Bretonnia. You're trying pretty much to expand and create this Bretonnian colony. So some things to consider, though, is things are very stacked against you when you start to hit into Demons and Warriors of Chaos, which are right here. This is a demon, and this is a demon. And they're pretty easy to start and beat right off the bat, but your expansion is going to get halted very quickly because you're also surrounded by Lizardmen down here, and you have the Hunts Marshal right here, with Rakarth right over there. So, expansion is quick, hard, and fast with Alberic's campaign, but then slows down very quickly. So you have to choose a direction. More often than not, I found that the game chooses a direction for me. I've tried this campaign 3 different times in 3 different ways, and almost always the Hunts Marshal declares war on me. So I found that I was always fighting against the Empire, which I would have thought would have been a natural shoo-in for what's it called? Allyship? Alliance? But it just didn't work out that way. So I think this is a way more interesting and fun campaign because you do have the ability to automatically get a trade going with Aquitaine, because that's where Bordeleaux is. And you also have the ability to jump into some relationship with Paderborn. But by simply kind of getting access to more and more diplomatic relations with Aquitaine and getting you, I think military access, which allows you to see their entire map. But basically you want to see more of Bretonnia, and you just want to increase your diplomacy into Bretonnia, so you have this massive trade empire while you're building out this really cool big colony down here in Lustria. It's a very different and a very cool, unique campaign that I think Alberic has a lot of really cool tools to take advantage of. So if you want a non-Bretonnia campaign that is not in Araby, and you want to play a character that gets really cool mounts and buffs up his Knights of the Realm, then trust me, Alberic will definitely be the character for you. Alright, the top dog on the list is Repanse de Lyonesse, one of my favorite characters for the... Well, I think it's my favorite character for Bretonnia because she's number 1 on the list, right? But she has so many interesting, fun mechanics, so we're going to go through those right now. She is the newest character, too. She is an FLC that was added, I think, alongside the Hunter and the Beast. I can't recall 100%. But taking a look at her faction effects, Damsel of War, she gets control +3 for all provinces, upkeep -50% for embedded heroes, melee defense +8 for questing knights, but of course suffers diplomatic relations with all of her natural enemies, which she will quickly kill, so it doesn't matter. Now, looking at her character, she also gets Champion of the People, chivalry bonus, physical resistance of 5% for all peasant units, which is nice because this includes your foot squires. Pretty much everything that's not on a horse gets this benefit, which is great. Also leadership +5 and ability Halo of Maidenly Wrath, which basically just explodes around her, blinding everyone to kind of give her a chance to get free from combat. She starts out with the Knight's Virtue and the Knight's Vow and Questing Vow. But all you got to do is press this, Pledge to the Untaint, and all you got to do is kill a Vampire Count character, which you start right next to, and you get the Grail Vow. So, that's right there for you. For her quest item is the Sword of Lyonesse, which reduces spell resistance on armies in the region, and the ability here, which is a really nice bonus to her melee attack and a huge bonus to her damage, because she is a questing knight on horseback, basically, right? So AP and anti-infantry is built into her kit. She does quite well with it. So with her kit, we get a lot of the same stuff across the board here. This is the same blue line of every other character and red line and yellow line of every other Bretonnian character, but lord otherwise. Here is her special line, and the People's Hero is going to give AP for infantry units, 5% replenishment rate, 5 melee attack for infantry units. You can see where this is going. Very heavily focused on the infantry. But now this, +8 melee attack, enables flaming attacks and attribute immune to psychology for the entire army, regardless of what they are, if you're fighting a Vampire Count, a Coast, or a Tomb King. So any undead, you're just going to purge your way right through them. Then Courageous is going to give you melee attack and ward save. Rebuild the Ruins. Again, this is the best one of these versions of skills, because this is a flat reduction cost for all buildings and construction time. It's great, as well as local recruitment capacity. Honorable and Pure, going to help out with corruption, leadership aura, and whatnot. Then Eternal Errantry War gives the entire army frenzy. Like you can see, she stacks all of these abilities to just be a complete powerhouse, because she herself is very strong in combat, and now her whole army is even better. Virtue of Empathy, these ones are all standard edition, but Fleur de Lis Banner is going to give her a 10 melee defense and 10 melee attack, 35 meter radius bonus here. Just so many great abilities. I really, really love this character. She starts off with 3 banners here, or three quests to get these banners, which are really good. Missile Strength, Immune to Psychology for Peasant Bowmen. This one's going to give melee defense and expert charge for melee infantry. And then this last one gives charge bonus 40 and perfect vigor for knight units. Also, she gets Henry Le Massif, which is a character that goes on a hippogriff. It's just so good. She is such a strong character. I love the amount of abilities that she has baked into just her kit. And she has a very fun campaign, because her campaign is an errantry war. It is a crusade through Araby to destroy all of the undead, and it is really fun to do, because you also start off with other errantry factions around you. Thegans, Knights of Origio, and you've got these guys right here, the Knights of the Flame, and all you need to do are certain things to confederate them into your faction. Take, for example, if you destroy Al-Haik, then you get this person confederates into you. And you just pretty much go through this and destroy all the factions around you that are undead, and you'll just pop off. I will say, the thing that just kind of slows Repanse's campaign down is, once you've dealt with these regions, which is pretty much your undead, and you've got Manfred von Karstein down here. After you've done that, and Arkham the Black, you're kind of out of undead. You got the Silver Pinnacle, which is like over there. Like, oh god, Silver Pinnacle's like up here. Never mind. But for the most part, your undead is gone. You've got Sartosa is your next closest one. Then you've got Sylvania all the way up there. So all the things that make her campaign stupid strong, they burn out quickly, because I think the only thing that needs to happen is that this just needs to apply to demons. And then this campaign would continue to have momentum in the Southlands. So just keep that in mind. You will hit a point where you're going to kill all the undead and be like, oh, my campaign just slowed or changed its pace a lot. Also, too, it's really nice that this thing has a unique building in the Coffer Docks. Fyrus has a unique building as well, which gives you like 500 income and some recruitment bonuses. Her technology is a little bit different too. These are not the typical Confederate Bretonnia ones. So you just take a look at this, like heroic duties. Now you're going to get some pretty cool lords and heroes out. So just make sure you're looking at these when you're going through your what's it called? Your technologies, and choose that because you're going to be destroying vampire counts. Or you choose Kings of the Mountain to help out with any kind of dwarf diplomacy because they're right there for you. There's just a lot of really cool ways to take advantage of the technology tree in a more diverse and different way, that because you're just not focusing at all on confederating Bretonnia. So this concludes our video here on Bretonnia. As I said, there's only 4 legendary lords. 2 of them are pretty much the same at 2 different points of the same piece of land. So you can see that my focus has been on one of the newest and most unique of the 4 because she just has so many cool fun mechanics. And you can go ahead and let me know in the comment section below, hey, you know what? You're sleeping on Louen. He can do so much more fun with this stuff. Or same thing with Fey Enchantress. I'm more than open to different recommendations on how to approach your favorite characters of Bretonnia. I definitely think that Bretonnia is due for a rework and more characters and a roster expansion. That's not the focus of this video here today. As always, though, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.